Week 9 of the NFL season is here, which means we are halfway through the season, and we've got a dynamic slate of games today. JJ McCarthy back against the Lions. The Broncos taking on the Texans. Two high-powered defenses squaring off. The Chiefs and the Bills are facing each other once again in a high-stakes matchup, which could determine the 1 seed in the AFC. We'll be predicting all those games and more today, but if you are a fan of the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, share the video around. It helps us grow, and let's get right into it. And starting things off, we've got a matchup between two bottom feeders from the northern divisions, the Bears taking on the Bengals. And look, I trash Caleb Williams a lot. He had a very bad performance against a terrible Ravens defense last week, got outdueled by Snoop Huntley, but I choose to believe this is what we call a get-right week. The Bengals defense still has just been getting absolutely torn apart. Gave up 39 points to Justin Fields, the Bears' former quarterback, last week. I think they'll be able to bounce back a little bit here. Caleb Williams gets back on track, even off those scripted drives, as they'll really a pretty competent offense. For the Bengals, you kind of wonder when the magic is going to run out. Joe Flacco's been playing at an above-average level with Chase and T. Higgins. The O-line has been holding up a lot better. They've actually been leaving tight ends to help their mediocre tackles, block defensive ends. And I think that'll continue a little bit this week, but I just don't have faith in them against what is a well-coached Bears defense. The talent is not there in spades for Chicago. They've been banged up by injuries, but I think they can get a few more stops than this Bengals defense can. So I'll pick the Bears to get to 5-3, bounce back with a win over Cincinnati. But this feels like one of those games which could really go either way depending entirely on how Williams responds to his loss.
The best game Caleb Williams, the best game this Bears offense has had this year came against the Dallas Cowboys earlier in the season, and the Cowboys defense is pathetic. The Bengals defense, we just watched the Jets with Justin Fields at quarterback, no Garrett Wilson, come back and put up close to 40 points on this Bengals defense. The Bears have that ability. With everything we said about Caleb Williams and our reaction to Week 8 and what he's done this season, he hasn't been good in quarters 2, 3, and 4. That doesn't really matter when you're playing a Bengals team that is not competent on the defensive side of the ball. Are the Bengals able to put up points quickly with even Joe Flacco at quarterback? Jamar Chase and Chase Brown got things going with the run game last week? Yes, but the Bears, between their offensive and defensive unit, they have enough talent. And if Caleb Williams against this Bengals defense really isn't able to do anything, then Bears fans, I think we are really going to see some true worry, even from the most faithful.
You won't. They're pretty delusional. Getting outdueled back-to-back weeks by Snoop Huntley and old man Joe Flacco, not good for the Caleb Williams next-rate quarterback agenda. Keeping it in the NFC North, though.
Speaking of delusional,
we've got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions. And folks, you can just throw out the records with this one. This is not a 3-4 Vikings team. This is a 0-0 Vikings team. This is a Vikings team who, for the first time, will have JJ McCarthy under center with Christian Darrisaw at left tackle, with Brian O'Neill presumably stepping back on the field to manhandle Aiden Hutchinson, and we're going to see a very different offense than what we've seen the past few weeks. One, the quarterback's shoulder is not dislocated. That's a big thing, folks. JJ's arm is not hanging out of socket. Thank you for your service, Carson Wentz. He should be able to navigate the pocket fairly well. He should be able to complete the short stuff. And if they give him some time, I think he can read the field at a high level. That Lions secondary outside of the safety room has really been banged up by injuries. Justin Jefferson is either going to have to be heavily bracketed or just going to be open all game. And if he's bracketed, Jordan Addison, for the first time playing with JJ McCarthy, should have some shots deep, should be able to create some stuff. Now, the Vikings defense just got exposed by the Chargers. I do not have a ton of faith in them against this very talented Lions team, but Ben Johnson is no longer in the building, and he just used to absolutely torture Brian Flores. So maybe the offense for Detroit will be a little bit less, like a rung down from what they were doing to Minnesota last year. Maybe they only score 25-30 points instead of the 35-40 they were laying on last year. I believe JJ will be more than adequate in that sense. I believe he can get 35-40 himself, and I think the Vikings cruise to an easy win, and we see the narratives flip on McCarthy.
Are we done with the mental gymnastics on that side of the room?
Oh, it's pretty easy. I've got mental gymnastics for all these games.
Well, there's a lot of mental gymnastics going on there. The Vikings, JJ McCarthy, what did both of us say heading into the season? It was going to take time for JJ McCarthy to meld and really perform at a high level within the Kevin O'Connell offense. And through 2 games, the only 2 games he's played, he's looked flat out bad. More interceptions than he's thrown touchdowns, and now he's coming off of an injury midway through the season against a Lions team that is rolling. This is not going to be an easy game for JJ McCarthy. I understand the logic that he's got Christian Darrisaw back, he's got O'Neill back, hopefully at right tackle, and he didn't have Addison the few games he did start. But this is not exactly an easy spot for him to step into. He hasn't been playing at all because he's been injured, so there's no momentum he's carrying into this game. There's no momentum the Vikings team is carrying into this game. And from reports we're hearing about the Vikings locker room, the team's starting to lose faith in Kevin O'Connell. So there's nothing.
Reports we're hearing about the Vikings locker room. Who are
There's
your insiders,
nothing-
Tristan?
People
I
are
saw
saying
it
on
on
Twitter.
You saw Vikings report tweet out, oh, they don't like KOC. That's your bro. He's been trying to get KOC fired for 3 years.
So there's no indication the Vikings are capable of beating this Lions team outside of the performances we saw last year, but that quarterback was Sam Darnold, and that was a different team.
Yeah, it's right. It's a different team. It was a worse team. I just gotta say, sit back, bear witness. JJ's got it this week. I got no concerns whatsoever. He will not look lost out there. Speaking of lost, though, I feel bad for the Carolina Panthers. They were above 500 headed into Week 8 for the first time in God knows how long. They just got absolutely shellacked by the Buffalo Bills at their house.
Andy Dalton was starting.
Felt like more Bills fans were there than Panthers fans. That's not really changing this week. I've spoken highly of the Panthers offensive line. The weakness is their tackle play. And with Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary flying off the edge, whether it be at Bryce Young or at Andy Dalton, it won't matter. It's going to be a sack-a-palooza in Green Bay. It's going to be a rough go for the Panthers offense. Maybe their little two-headed monster of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard can crank out 150 yards on the ground, but I just don't see them being able to match the plotting, methodical, surgical Packers offense, which will walk downfield and score time and time again with Jacobs and Kraft. So I got Green Bay winning this one, advancing to 6-1-1 on the year, and getting dangerously close to my projected win total for them.
It doesn't help that a majority of the Panthers' offensive line is injured. So when it comes to interior, right tackle, I believe, they don't even have something to combat Micah Parsons and what the Packers defense is going to throw at them. And with the Packers, they've just been an all-around quality team the entire season. 5-1-1. I don't think we're going to get another tie. I think we're going to get another win.
You don't think we're going to get another Browns game?
I don't think so.
Myles Garrett's not lining up in that light blue?
The furthest thing from it. So I agree. I think the Packers are going to win. Broncos are headed to Houston to take on the Texans. And the Texans last week, they showed some life. CJ Stroud has been playing a lot better recently compared to the Texans we saw at the beginning of the season. Hopefully Nico Collins is back from that concussion this week to give the Texans receiver room a little bit more juice. But even last week, with him not in the lineup, Xavier Hutchinson, Jaden Higgins were able to get things going with CJ Stroud a little bit. That's something you like to see, that you don't just have to rely on Nico Collins to be the centerpiece of your offense. The Broncos defense, though, we know they have an elite pass rush. We know the Texans offensive line is not necessarily one of their strengths, but on the Texans side of things, they have two elite edge rushers. They're able to get after the quarterback at a high level. So I think we are going to see a defensive war in this one. I think the Texans have a little bit more firepower on offense, but their offensive line is significantly worse, and I think the Broncos have the overall better defense. Is Surtain playing?
Surtain is not currently expected to play, and that kind of is going to be the key for the Houston Texans. If they can find whoever they've got on Nico Collins, whether that be Riley Moss, whether that be Barron, but whatever. If they can find the substandard matchup and consistently pick on it, that's their avenue to win. The issue is the Texans O-line, although it's been playing a little bit better the past few weeks, you look at who that's against. The 49ers defensive line, heavily injured. We know about Bosa. We know about Warner in the front seven. Their backups are getting hurt. Their young players are getting hurt. They're playing against the practice squad defensive line last week. Of course, they looked good. The Broncos are not that. They're still just going to sack Stroud over and over again. I don't think they capitalize on the matchup. I don't think the offensive limitations of Denver are enough to really stop them from winning this game. And I think the Broncos go on the road and get to 6-2.
Yeah,
Excuse me, 7-2.
7-2.
Ooh.
Getting up there.
Getting up there.
You said
Watch
they'd
it.
win the division.
I did, and looking good
They're
right now.
getting closer. Who
Haven't
knows
played
if the Chiefs will be able to catch them?
Haven't played the Chiefs yet. That's a little concerning.
I think I would agree. I think the offensive line for the Texans leaves a lot to be desired. Woody Marks, that backfield, I don't think they're really going to get it going against this Broncos front seven, so I think the Broncos are also going to win.
Moving on. Last week, I completely dismissed the Miami Dolphins. I thought Bijan Robinson was going to be able to run all over the Dolphins. That didn't happen because we had Captain Kirk under center, and there was just no fear of the passing attack whatsoever from Miami. They pulled off a massive win, which might keep McDaniel's job for a few weeks longer. I have no more faith in Atlanta. I cannot see myself picking them to win against a competent team for a remainder of the season. On the road against the Patriots, the red-hot New England Patriots, with Drake May dissecting opposing defenses, with their defense looking like one of the best coached units in the league, consistently shutting down opposing offense, being top 10, top 5 in a lot of metrics. yeah, they're going to do it again. I don't care if it's Penix. I don't care if it's Kirk. I don't care whoever's under center. The Falcons' offense is not going to be able to effectively match Drake May and company in New England. Patriots are winning this one.
The Patriots have been playing at such a high level, and this Falcons team, they look great one week. All the offensive weapons they have finally show up one week. Their front seven occasionally looks really solid, but then they just look like the worst team in football. So against a Patriots team that has been rolling, it's at home in New England, I think the Patriots are going to win. The Falcons we've seen way too consistent to beat a Patriots team that's been incredibly consistent with Drake May playing at the level he's been playing at.
I mean, being massively inconsistent can sometimes work in your favor. Sometimes you can get red hot and win a game. I don't think the defensive line's been all that consistent. I think they've gotten really high level production out of their guys, particularly the draft picks. So maybe not so much inconsistency there, but everywhere else kind of sucks. Moving on.
49ers, one of the most injured teams, headed to MetLife Turf to take on the Giants.
No one left to lose.
One of the most injured teams in the NFL. And neither of these... This is not going to be a great game. Whether the Giants find a way to win this game, whether the 49ers' superior coaching staff wins this game, I don't think this is going to be an extremely fun one to watch. Because it's the Giants, I've been picking them every single week.
No, you haven't. That's not true.
Almost every single week. Recently, almost every single week. They have the better front seven than the 49ers. 49ers offensive line, not exactly spectacular. They have Brian Burns playing at a defensive player of the year level. The 49ers defense, while Robert Saleh is a genius, they're completely depleted, and they have a lot of players injured. So both teams are dealing with a lot of injuries, but I'm going with the Giants in this one.
Playing at a defensive player of the year level is just going to turn into one of those throwaway nothing burger phrases because he's clearly not going to win the award. He's not top 5 in betting odds, not playing better than Hutch, Parsons, Myles Garrett by any stretch of the imagination. But sure, he's got a lot of sacks, so we'll say that. Why not? 49ers are winning this game. They're way better coached. They're going to move the ball very effectively against this devastated Giants secondary. If they can just get 2 seconds, someone will be open. I have no faith in the Giants offense minus Cam Scadby with the receivers they've got with Darius Slayton playing the worst football of his career, which is saying something. I got no faith in them to score in San Francisco, a Robert Saleh coach team. So the Niners are going to 6-3. And then they're going to lose their next 4 games. Which will get them to...
You want me answering this one?
Yeah, you've missed the opportunity to make a 6-7 joke. Pathetic. Colts taking on the Steelers. Colts are the hottest team in football. They're the best team in football right now. The Steelers coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Green Bay Packers. And, they kept Josh Jacobs in check up there in Pittsburgh fairly well. He did not have his most productive night on the ground. That came at the cost of Tucker Kraft absolutely destroying the safeties and linebackers of the Steelers. They've kind of got to pick their poison here. They can either shut down Jonathan Taylor, commit everybody at the box, and not let an MVP candidate run wild on them. The price for that will be Alec Pierce, Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs getting open, and Daniel Jones throwing for 300 yards on this ancient secondary. Or they can give in, let the Colts run their game plan, try and mitigate the bleeding, and have Jonathan Taylor hit for 150 on the ground. Either way, they're cooked. The Colts are scoring a lot of points. And the Steelers' offense is too dependent on those home run balls to DK Metcalf or to Freiermuth. And with Muth out of the lineup, or even if he's on the field dealing with injury, I don't see that happening. Pittsburgh's losing this one.
The Steelers are a good team, but they're the furthest thing from a great team. Like, their offense, I think, is a lot better than most people expected, a lot better than I expected it to look. They've looked very competent on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, not exactly the Steelers' defense we have come to know during the Mike Tomlin era, during TJ Watt's tenure there, dominating opposing teams week in and week out. So this Steelers team is a little bit mediocre. The Colts, they have that high-powered offense. They have an offense that's playing at an absurd level. They have a running back that is on pace to have one of the greatest running back seasons of all time, and their defense is good enough to play against this Steelers offense. So I expect the Colts to go into Pittsburgh. I also expect them to win. Chargers are playing the worst team in football, the Tennessee Titans. Now that the Jets have a win, I can confidently say the Titans are the worst team in football. There is nothing good that this Titans team does.
Jeffrey Simmons is pretty good.
You got, sure. You got
Devondre
Jeffrey
Sweat's
Simmons.
a large human being.
There's Stephon, fine. You could say that. Everything else is pathetic. No secondary, nothing else on their defensive line. Offensive line is bad.
Skoronski hasn't been
Running
bad.
back room is bad. Receiver room is bad. And Cam Ward is just rotting there. The least talked about first overall pick in recent memory. There's no hope for them. There's no hope for him. Maybe in the future, 5 years down the line, when the Titans give up on him, he can make it somewhere else. this Titans team's getting blown out by the Chargers.
I think J.C. Latham's actually developing sort of well. You'd like him to be a little bit further along, but what's around him doesn't really do him any favors. If I am looking at the second-year offensive tackle and talking about that being one of the bright spots, it should tell you how bad the roster is. I agree. The Chargers better at virtually every position besides maybe interior defensive line. Maybe you can make the argument their O-line's injured enough that that's a conversation, but they still got Joe Alt out there. So Chargers are winning this one. Keeping it with the same energy. The LA teams are just feasting this week. Saints going on the road to play the Rams. It's Tyler Shuck debut. That'll be sort of
youngest quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, that'll be sort of interesting. Not the debut, but the Tyler Shuck first start. I don't think Spencer Rattler was playing poorly enough to really get benched if he was like a day 2 pick. But he was a 5th rounder, and he was having turnover issues. So they were going to always give Shuck a shot. Maybe you questioned that shot being against one of the best front sevens in football, but hey, I digress. Rams are winning this one. What more needs to be said?
I agree the Rams are winning, and with Tyler Shuck specifically, when your 5th round quarterback is 1-7, you don't really have that much hope. You need to find out if your 2nd round quarterback you just picked has anything, because this team is going to be picking in the top 5. They're going to have the opportunity to potentially take a quarterback of their choosing. So
they need
that's
to
why
just
Shuck's
give up
playing.
on that ludicrous concept. This is the most we're going to talk about the Saints. If they draft a quarterback into this system while their cap is still as screwed as it is right now and was somewhat of a weak quarterback class in 2025, or 2026, excuse me, they're just going to be wasting a pick. Draft a tackle, draft a guard, keep getting your offensive line younger, build it up in the front 7, do something else. Get a good wide receiver and ship off Olave, pay Shaheed, do something. Don't draft a quarterback, I am begging you though. Get the Alvin Kamara replacement 6th overall. We see how well it's working out for the Raiders drafting a running back early.
With the Raiders and Jaguars, I think it is easy to predict the Jaguars to win this one, but they are the Jaguars. Every single week we see them kind of not live up to expectations, or not reach their ceiling, I should say. Maybe the expectation for them at this point, because it's happened so many times, is just them being average, but they never live up to their ceiling. They never live up to the talent they have on their roster. They have Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, who they traded multiple 1st-round picks to go acquire, and their offense hasn't really sniffed what we thought it could be with Liam Cohen taking over and calling the shots over there in Jacksonville. On the Raiders side of things, a little bit similar to the Titans, except they do have veteran, competent quarterback play. The offensive line is absolutely atrocious. Ashton Genty gets hit in the backfield nearly almost every single time. So I don't think it's going to be a great game. I don't think it's going to be an exciting game, but I do think the Jaguars still will be able to win. They have more good players, unless you think Max Crosby just wrecks the game.
Look, both these teams are coming off absolutely devastating losses. The Jaguars in London to the Rams. The Raiders absolutely throttled by the Chiefs. The Jaguars at least have some semblance of competent management and ownership. They're coming off the bye. They're on bye, right? They didn't play last week.
I believe so.
Okay, I was going to say they're in London.
Yes, they did.
The Jaguars did play last week, so they're making
No, they're on bye.
Okay. They're coming off a bye. Presumably, Cohen Company will be able to use that as some of a get-right window, reevaluate things, script out a few more drives, get the offense going in the first quarter at least. And with how good the edge pass rush has been from Jacksonville for the past few years, they should be able to pretty much hamper everything Vegas wants to do through the air. Unless Gingy just catches fire on the ground up the middle behind a terrible offensive line, which seems unlikely, the Raiders' offense is not moving the ball. They're not cracking 15 points. And with 3 or 4 scripted drives, Jacksonville can more than match that. I got them winning this one. Not a special game. Not a good preamble to the dynamic Sunday night matchup.
That's not the Sunday night matchup.
That's not the Sunday night matchup. Oh, man. Good job, CBS. Hey, not a good preamble to the primetime game of the Chiefs taking on the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo. And I normally pick Buffalo to win the regular season edition of this matchup. It's just how it goes, losing the playoffs. Kind of think it's going to be flipped this year. I have a hard time imagining the Bills secondary in its current iteration, with Josh Allen not playing perfect football, being able to stop Mahomes from scoring 35 points through the air, and I just can't see Allen and company doing that right now. So I got the Chiefs winning this one. I think their front seven's better. I think their offensive line right now is the only real area of strength the Buffalo Bills have. Quarterback play, love Allen, last season's MVP for a reason. Playing worse than Mahomes right now. He doesn't have a wide receiver, 1 or 2 of sufficient quality. His running back, widely overrated. His defense, horrible. His head coach, incompetent. And you just can't say those things about the Chiefs right now. The only real knock on them is they're old as dirt. So I got Kansas City winning this one. A heartbreaker for Buffalo. This pretty much excludes them from being the 1 seed in the AFC.
People who will pick the Bills to win this one, with how these two teams are currently playing, will say, oh, the game's in Buffalo. During the regular season, the Bills always beat the Chiefs. But this year is not the same case, as Isaiah already stated. If the Patriots are able to go into Buffalo and beat you with a very young team, what do you think the Chiefs are going to do when they have the best wide receiver room they've had since Tyreek Hill was on the team, certainly the fastest and deepest wide receiver room, Travis Kelce getting his feet under him a little bit. The defense, they have gotten a lot better as the season has progressed. This Chiefs team looks like the Chiefs team of old. They are the best team in the NFL right now. And the Bills, Josh Allen has things going. James Cook has been playing at a very high level, but outside of that, there has been a lot left on the field. Their defense has not been good. So I don't really see a world where the Bills win this one. They have a lot of room for improvement where maybe they compete with them in the playoffs. But in this one, I think the Chiefs are going to dominate.
I mean, the Chiefs defense is looking better because they've been playing absolute cupcakes the last few weeks. Oh, Vegas, they got shut down by the Chiefs. Ooh, the Commanders with Mariota didn't score a lot of points. I tend to agree. I'll throw out, of course, the caveat. If Josh Allen goes nuclear, as he is prone to do in these games, yeah, the Bills are winning it. Will that happen? Who's to say? On to the actual Sunday night game. Seahawks taking on the Commanders. And I don't care who the Commanders have under center. Their O-line's dealing with injury. Terry McLaurin is still just a little bit too slow coming out that injury. The Seahawks red hot, on fire, 5-2. Fantastic front seven. Two of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. Sam Darnold finding JSN at will. The running game looking a twinge more efficient as time goes on. People complain about Zach Charbonnet's goal line touches. Those people care way too much about fantasy. It's a well-balanced attack. Gray Zabel is playing at a really high level for a rookie. One of the best guard picks of the class. Probably one of the best offensive linemen out of this year's class and already shining. So I got Seattle winning this one. I cannot see a strong argument for the Commanders getting things right.
And the Seahawks are coming off of a bye, so they're going to be a little bit extra rested. They are going to have had more time to game plan for this Commanders team that is dealing with injury. Now, Terry McLaurin did look good coming off injury, but he seemed to be banged up after that one. He seemed to aggravate his quad a little bit more. Maybe Jaden Daniels is able to get on the field for this game, but even so, he's going to not be 100%, I think, even if he is on the field. They haven't been playing at the highest level, so I also think the Seahawks are going to win.
The one thing which works in the Commanders' favor is Washington's having to fly all the way across the country to the East Coast to play a night game, which is essentially saying, okay, this is going to be 11 p.m. Your body's time is when kickoff's going to happen as opposed to 8 p.m. if it was in Seattle. So maybe that changes the outcome. Maybe that gets it a little bit closer than it should be. But I still just think Seattle's too much better, or far too talented to lose to this Commanders team. On to the Monday night game, and I just want to know who scheduled this one. Cardinals taking on the Cowboys at Jerry World. The Cowboys are a team who is going to hover around 500 all year because their offense, when it gets going, is just going to fry people, score 40, and win them games or tie them games they really shouldn't be in. The Cardinals cannot match that in the slightest with the injuries, with the uncertainty in the offensive line, with the defensive depth slowly just being drained over the course of the year. I think Dallas has their way with Arizona. We can say, oh, it's a get-right game for X, Y, and Z team. There's nothing to get right for the Cardinals. McBride's going to have a big game. Maybe MHJ is a big game. That won't be enough. Dallas is winning this one. They're scoring a crispy 45, and we are done with a fairly substandard slate of games this week.
If Kyler Murray is back on the field,
then they're losing by 30.
Because Jacoby Brissett has been playing at a pretty high level. But whether it's Jacoby Brissett, whether it is Kyler Murray, either of those quarterbacks, maybe you can convince yourself that against this Cowboys defense that you can score at on will. It's basically a college D2 defense at this point with the amount of points that you're giving up every single week. I thought last week against the Broncos would be a little bit closer. It wasn't because the defense is that bad. So when your defense is that bad, all it takes is an early game 3-and-out. All it takes is an early game mistake by Dak Prescott, and all of a sudden the Cardinals are in the game. They jump out to a lead, and they get rolling on offense. So do I think it is entirely possible for the Cardinals to win this one just because of how bad the Cowboys defense is? Yes, I do think it is possible. I think it is in the cards, but because...
Boo, bad joke. Boo, it's in the cards. Boo.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was not intentional. I do think the Cowboys still are going to win because this Cardinals team is also not the greatest team in the world. And this Cowboys offense with George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams, Dak Prescott playing at the level he's been playing at this season, I do think they're going to be able to put up plenty of points to compensate for whatever their defense does.
It'd be funny to me if the Dallas Cowboys kind of limp their way into the playoffs at 9-7-1 and then just absolutely lit somebody up because they got some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. That'd be amusing to me. I'd get a real kick out of that. That kind of feels like it's not going to happen. 9-7-1 might
Play
not
the
get
Packers
you to 7.
round 1.
I would love that. I would love it if the Micah Parsons revenge playoff game resulted in 500 passing yards from Dak Prescott. That'd make my day. Oh, and since we're recording it well before, I would just throw out there, the Ravens should beat the Dolphins if they don't fire Harbaugh. There's no two ways about it. If McDaniels is able to get a win off this team with Lamar being back in the lineup, fire Jim Harbaugh or fire John Harbaugh. Very different two-win teams. Both coming off a win, so that's something.
The Ravens, I also think, should win. That has been our Week 9 predictions. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Give us all your predictions down in the comments below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.